Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Russell Westbrook is out of LA and headed to Denver. How will Jokic elevate Russ? Also, we get the inside scoop on the SEC, and the Lakers have mystique, but with an asterisk. I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
Russell Westbrook on the move again, and this time he may actually have to change his address. This isn't Lakers to Clippers or anything like that. This is the Clippers to the Nuggets. After a trade to the Utah Jazz, he is expected to sign with the Denver Nuggets. We'll see what that means with all of the moving pieces there. Matt Moore, he's going to know a lot better than I am about the moving pieces in Denver. Matt, this is a big name. Is this a big impact move for the Nuggets?
Not really. You know, there'll be talk of like, well, they lost Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, but they added Russell Westbrook. And that's the wrong way to think about it. They lost Reggie Jackson and they added Russell Westbrook. Like that's the transition here. And like, look, I think Russ is an upgrade over what they had at backup point guard. I think he'll probably lose his minutes because he's going to play the majority of his minutes without Nikola Jokic. And if you play the majority of your minutes without Nikola Jokic on the Nuggets, you're probably going to lose your minutes. But he does bring a lot, I think, to the table. I think the minutes where he plays next to Jokic actually will be pretty interesting. If he kind of embraces, I was thinking about this, he has almost always played with very simple big men, very skill limited bigs, very up and down, pick and roll, set a screen, roll to the basket type of guys. The exception to that was Oklahoma City with Steven Adams, who's actually a little bit more of a fully fleshed out player, a little bit more cerebral, a pretty good passer, as well as being tough as nails. So I kind of was thinking about like maybe this is a better comparison for him. Maybe he's better with less athleticism at center in those pick and roll situations, and he and Jokic can develop some stuff. But that's when Russ has the ball. I think the bigger question is going to be when Russ doesn't have the ball, and especially if he's in those second units if Jamal Murray staggers with the bench unit again, how does that work? Can Russ effectively space the floor? Can he punish defenders by getting backdoor with his athleticism because he still has that kind of timing? If he's willing to actually move off ball, which is a very large, capital, gigantic steal. If he's willing to move off ball, then Jokic is going to find him a lot of opportunities. And, you know, I think inclination is to say, well, no, it's Russ. He won't change. He's adapted a little bit. He adapted a little in Houston. He tried to adapt to the Lakers, and he adapted quite a bit last season. He accepted the bench role, and he's taken kind of a step back in terms of James Harden having the ball both in Houston and with the Clippers. So he's not oblivious anymore to where he's at in his career. If he's willing to adapt, I think Jokic can get the best out of him in those minutes. But in the non-Jokic minutes, that's where I think the questions have to be about the spacing and about how this is going to play out. And that's before we get into some of the locker room questions for a guy that is beloved around the league, but I think is going to challenge a lot of guys that may not be super comfortable with it in Denver.
Is it too reductive to say, you know, the passion, the pace, all that stuff that Russ plays with on a second unit, as you mentioned, not going to play a ton with Nikola Jokic unless he's just like, you know, in a groove with the jump shot at the end of these games. That is just like, that's the idea here. Just get out and play your ass off for 15 minutes while Jokic sits. And that's a net positive. That's kind of the Reggie Jackson minutes, right? Like just go try and create a little inertia.
Yeah, so one of the things that they were really missing last year was what Bruce Brown brought them in 2023. Yeah. And Bruce actually he had long bad stretches from 3-point range. And he honestly had some bad stretches in the regular season defensively. But one thing that Bruce was really great about was getting the ball off of defensive possessions and then pushing the pace and getting downhill on what I came later to refer to as like fullback dives. Just one guy end to end, coast to coast, attack the rim. Because if you're trying to create offense in the second unit and you have guys like Peyton Watson and Julian Strother who are younger, or you have DeAndre Jordan who's not exactly going to be hustling, and now it's going to be Dario Saric, like they're not going to have like a complicated, awesome second unit. You can make up for that if you are effective defensively, and Russ got a lot better at that last year with the Clippers. and if you're willing to just get the ball and be aggressive downhill, because they've had a real problem with that, with point guards essentially slowing the pace in that second unit. You can slow the pace when you have Nikola Jokic, because you can give him the ball and he'll cycle through 4 actions and find you a quality shot. The same's not true when he's not on the floor. You need some of that up, down, vertical kind of floor stretching aggressiveness, and Russ brings that to the table. The problem is it just comes with so many truly awful shots.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Royce Young, who used to cover the NBA for ESPN and currently works for the Thunder, has kind of referred to the various shots that Russ would take whenever he get an offensive rebound and then shoot a 3 as found money. And those are possessions where he kills you, where it's like, there's so much good you can do, and you choose this thing, and that's the problem. And that, I think, is what's going to be interesting to see how that balance shakes out, not only in terms of the on-court effects, but how does that go down with Michael Malone? How does that interaction work? How's that chemistry? How do him and Jamal Murray get along? These are all questions I think are interesting. Again, everyone raves about Russell Westbrook, the teammate, so I don't want to act like Russ is a huge problem here, but I think Russ is really good about challenging guys and being so professional. I mean, like, we're going to do this. I'm going to drag you there. I'm going to be curious to see how the rest of the team, which has gotten pretty comfortable with a laid-back superstar Nikola Jokic, kind of responds to that.
Stay up to date all year on the Denver Nuggets by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Nuggets on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Coming up, we get an inside look at the SEC. Before we get to that, the Bengals and Corey Dillon are letting bygones be bygones. Game Time makes getting to the ballpark even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets of football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the free app, and new users can get $20 off their first purchase with code Locked On. Terms apply. That's code Locked On with $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Cincinnati Bengals announced that former running back Corey Dillon will be announced to the team's Ring of Honor this year alongside former defensive lineman Tim Crumry. Dillon famously said he'd rather flip burgers than play another game for the Bengals during the 2000 offseason. He ended up playing 3 more seasons in Cincy before going to New England and winning a Super Bowl with the Patriots.
They didn't get the contract he wanted done. He didn't get the trade he wanted. The fact that he's decided to prioritize getting back for all of training camp with this potentially one last hurrah kind of approach, trying to make this push for the Super Bowl, getting the extra time in, you can't take it for granted. You need all of the work you can get because that's what it takes to do this very, very difficult thing in the NFL, which is to win enough games to get to the playoffs and then win in the playoffs in a league where the margins are generally quite thin.
You get a new trainer, you're putting in the work. Joe Burrow, by the way, saying when he talked last week that he looked great, that he's seen T multiple times, that he wants to throw with T. I think that's the other element here is how welcoming this locker room is to guys that are dealing with the business side. And Trey comes back early. T. Higgins signs earlier than everyone expected. There's a culture element, too, that it is certainly a factor.
You are Locked On Bengals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Our Locked On SEC host, Chris Gordy, is at SEC Media Days, and he got instant reaction from some of the conference's top players to their overall ratings in the new NCAA 25.
Have you played it yet?
Playing last night.
Here's the big question. Did they properly rate you?
Could have been an 80. But 78 is cool.
78?
I'm not mad at it, though.
Play the new EA Sports?
Sir.
Are you properly rated? That's the question.
I think that they're all by two more ratings, but I'm good with where I'm at right now. You know,
yeah.
Everybody that play with me say I'm unstoppable.
Oh, are you properly rated in the video game?
I love my rating.
Okay.
I actually thought I was gonna be a 90, but I love where they put me at.
What they put? 89?
94.
Well, they're higher on you than you are.
For real.
Played a video game yet?
I have not. I played like one game, but like I haven't played it like consistently. So I gotta keep on getting on it.
Have you played the video game yet?
Oh yeah.
Are you properly rated?
I don't know. I don't know how to play the video game, so I couldn't tell you.
I love it.
You need to get a pro that plays the video game and then tell me if I'm properly rated.
After talking spicy about Colin Montgomery talking spicy, Tiger Woods did not begin the Open the way he would have liked. Woods shot an 8 over 79 in the first round at Royal Troon on Thursday. This puts him in danger of missing the cut for the third straight major tournament. Tiger reflected on the struggles in the Open and said, "I didn't do a whole lot of things right today." And I think I'm officially hitting the crazy period of the summer sports cycle. Particularly sports bettors are struggling right now, or at least I hope they are, because Bronny James has received more bets to win NBA Rookie of the Year than any other player. Remember, he also had the most bets to go number one overall. He went 55th overall. One sportsbook received $1,000 on Bronny, 250 to 1 odds to win Rookie of the Year. Is football back? SEC Media Days were abuzz with Texas and Oklahoma joining the conference. Locked On SEC host Chris Gordy got the chance to talk with a number of players from big-time programs that will have a lot to say in the movement of the college football playoff.
Catching up with Jalen Milroe. It's a walk and talk here, the KD native. We're at your camp a couple weeks ago. What was that like giving back to the Houston community?
It was awesome. It was awesome to have that chance to do so. It's all about giving back and allowing kids to have fun. It's all about when I was younger, that's all I wanted to do, was have a chance to give back with this beautiful game of football. And football is a beautiful vehicle because it allows you to network and also give you the opportunity to have opportunities of having camps like this. So I'm super fortunate and blessed to have that.
What's the biggest difference in Jalen Milroe from last offseason to this offseason?
I'll say, number one, just having the belief behind me. And then two, just the experience level. You know, our first year starter must be different from a guy that's had experience. So it's been awesome just to have that. And then also the transition of having great people around me with Coach DeBoer and Coach Sheridan. So I'll say, man, I'm just super excited for what the future holds.
What do you like most about this team? What excites you most when you talk about Alabama in 2024?
I say the passionate level of the guys that's around and who's leading our system. You know, Coach DeBoer doing a really good job putting us in position to be successful, getting to know us as a whole group, and then players have been stepping up as leaders. You know, we have a player-led group that wants to be successful, and that's player-led. It's been awesome to see the development of everybody because everybody cares about the standard of Alabama. So, like, what a great opportunity to be around a lot of great guys that want to be successful.
One last one for you, Jalen. When you're not playing football, what's Jalen Milroe doing?
Giving back to the community as best possible. I want to own an athletic facility and train athletes there and pour all my resources into that so guys can achieve all that they want to achieve in the future.
Are you a Netflix guy? Or you watch TV, video games? Have you played the new NCAA game yet?
I'm a Netflix guy. I like watching movies.
What's the last thing you watched?
Last thing I watched was, what did I watch? Oh yeah, I watched Creed 3.
Oh, was it good?
It was awesome. I would say that was worth the wait. I love that movie. That was a good movie.
Did you play a video game yet?
I have not. I played like one game, but like I haven't played it like consistently. So I gotta keep on getting on it.
Great stuff, Jalen. Appreciate the time,
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Stay up to date on all things SEC by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On SEC on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, the Lakers are still a brand with mystique, but there's a key asterisk involved here. The Los Angeles Lakers have seemingly diminished in stature. They're not the brand they used to be. While most people would agree, Locked On Lakers wouldn't, but with a specific caveat.
There is a mystique to the Lakers. Like, that's not mythology. Like, that's not just something media generated. That is a real thing. Like, the Laker brand globally has a mystique to it.
Sure.
Still, even when they're not winning championships, even during the period when they were winning like 17, 20 games or whatever, like, they're still the Lakers. And we know this because people still cared about them while they were losing. But the idea that players, especially now, in an age of league pass and social media and personal brands and the ability to get seen in Oklahoma City, in Portland, in smaller markets, you don't need the Lakers the way you used to in the 80s or the 90s or even the
right. And the money is so big too. Like, let's say Shea maybe would love, let's say there was a marketing boost that would come with Shea in LA at this point in his career. I realize he was here before, but versus Oklahoma City, okay, sure. But he's still sitting on a couple $100 million. So it's not there's, maybe it could be a little bit more with the marketing money, but I don't even think that stuff's necessarily true anymore.
Anthony Edwards could become the face of the league. He's in Minnesota.
Right.
This idea of need is essential to conversations about modern success with athletes off the court. You don't need to be in LA. Now, everyone still wants to be in LA, but we just saw Klay Thompson go to Dallas because of taxes and because it was a better basketball situation for him. Plus, he doesn't need to be in LA to sell sneakers. That's the big difference in the league now. And so you don't have to be in New York. You don't have to be in Chicago. When was the last time New York courted a marquee free agent? Jalen Brunson turned into a marquee free agent, but at the time, the general consensus on that Brunson deal was, what are they doing? Or at least it was, I don't know about that. Now it looks like a no-brainer. Yeah, people still want to go to whatever they're calling that arena now. Was Staples. Now it's crypto. For now, it's the crypt. For now. You don't need to play for the Lakers. And right now, yes, it would be cool to chase a title and play with LeBron, but they're not title contenders. And I've said this before on this show, if you go to LA, JJ Redick is about to learn this. When they win, it is never because of you. It is always because of LeBron. And when they lose, it is always your fault. So mystique or not, there are plenty of players who are going, I'd rather just not deal with that. I can go somewhere else and try and win, Klay Thompson, and not have to deal with all the nonsense. The brand, the opportunities it can afford are no longer enough. And finally, this is the final year that the Athletics will play in Oakland. Next year, they will move temporarily to Sacramento. Reports on Thursday confirmed a theory that some had about this move, that the Athletics will not acknowledge their team's city next year. They will simply be the Athletics. Like the baseball version of Prince or Cher, just way less cool and way more cheaply ran. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports Today, who's the most intriguing player as NFL training camps get going? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.